Guys, let's see if it's running. It's doing a blue spinny circle thingy. Hi. So I decided, now it looks like we're live. Hi, bonjour from France. I decided spontaneously to do a live stream today to give some background stuff on the supplies I use for sketching and the basic ideas behind the style of sketching I do, so that when we do our next live stream, we can jump right into the sketching part. Last time on the video, we included a lot of that, and this is a quick separate video just for that, so that if people want to know that before we do just jump into the sketching part, they can. If by any miracle you're spontaneously watching, leave me a comment and say hi. If not, you guys can all watch this later whenever you feel like it, or not. The background on what I use, a lot of people emailed me who don't have Facebook, so I'll put this on YouTube also. The supplies I use for sketching. So I use a permanent Micron, Pigma Micron pen. Oh, I gotta get the hang of this. And it's any art store has these, probably Hobby Lobby and Michael's too, and Amazon. I sketch with an 03 size, which is it's a, oh, backwards. You know, you can see it. It's about like that. If you're a delicate person and you like a really delicate, or if you want to sketch but you really want to draw it in pencil first, which I so much discourage, it's much more fun if you skip the pencil. So if you're really hesitant to draw in ink, or if you're a delicate person and you like a fine line, the 005 size of the Pigma Micron archival ink pen. They're permanent, so you can put the water over them and they don't smear. But the 005 is the smallest size, and it's really nice if you're doing delicate work. So I normally sketch in a 03. Today I'll sketch in a 08 so that anybody watching this later can see it. And the next thing I do is people say, okay, does it have to be a specific type of watercolor pencil? No, there are many brands. These might cost 20 cents more each or something, but they're really good. They're an Albrecht Dürer Faber Castell, just the Faber Castell pencil. You can get them in a kit. I've gotten them in kits with a 12-pack before for like $15, which is really a bargain. If you buy them separately, they're about $2 each. You can just get like 5 colors. Get a burnt sienna and the dark indigo blue and the permanent green olive and the, what do they call this? Gotta get my glasses. The yellow ochre, it's kind of a maize color, and there's a brick red called middle cadmium red, and I started with just those 5, and you can start with just 5, or you can get a 12-pack. It comes in a nice case, or but again, art stores, Amazon, and the Faber Castell is the brand I use. And then I use just a waterbrush, and so the top unscrews like this, and you put the water inside here and screw it back on, and then when I'm outside, you can drip it right in the grass. But if I'm on a plane or inside at my desk like I am today, then you just take a tissue and you go drip, drip, and between switching colors, and it'll just clean it out. It's really convenient. So it's also easier for most people. When they start using it, they realize that it's so much simpler than a paintbrush because they don't have to train their hand to use it. Hi, Marilyn. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're watching. We're going to do one on Friday that will be teaching how to sketch some flowers. This is just like short background info and a super quick sketch today, so I'm glad you're here. Earlier I talked about the supplies I use. a Micron pen. It's a permanent ink from any art store or Amazon. I use 03 size, and I use Faber Castell watercolor pencils. They blend really nicely with water. There are cheaper ones by maybe 20 cents each cheaper or something at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. But people who buy a set of those come back to me and they go, they are not anything as good as the ones I use in your class. So that 20 cents extra can be worth it. And you can start out with just 5 colors or get a 12-pack from Amazon. And then paper-wise, a person emailed me and said, what kind of paper do you use? I'm not picky about brand, but it really needs to be watercolor paper. If you're adding water, it is ready to hold the paper. It has a texture to it, and it makes it blend so pretty, and that's what we love about watercolor. Confession, I've tried actual watercolor with watercolor brushes, and it was a disaster. But when I do it with this, my hand is so used to holding a pen or pencil that the water brush feels like that, and I have much more control over it, and it makes it simple. And I really like simple. I don't like complicated. That's not a hobby to me. So any kind of watercolor paper, I think the most important part is the weight. It's 300 gram or 140 pound weight. So it has a nice stiffness to it, and it's got a good texture, but it's enough. It's not flimsy, so it absorbs the water really well, and it doesn't bubble. When I first started, I used some different, I don't know, I didn't know anything, and I just bought whatever paper, and it bubbled a lot. So it's nice to have the kind that doesn't. So if anybody else is jumping on, write me a comment, say hi. If not, everybody watch later. So my basic concepts of sketching. Today we'll sketch something like this. I don't know if you can see that, but I put it on my timeline also in my sketches photo album. So you can see it there. This is a stylized, super quick type of sketch. And for the other sketches, we'll do something a little more, I was thinking I'll put together some, like we'll do a black-eyed Susan, and we'll do a poppy, and I dropped my other one, a sketch, where did you go? Oh, here's one. We'll do, I don't know what this would be, like a purple daisy or maybe closer to an echinacea. But anyway, we'll do those on Friday. And so if we're tackling 3 on Friday, I just want to give the principles today. So if a person is new at sketching, I really encourage them to sketch something straight on. Angles are interesting, but they're also very complicated about, okay, it's at an angle, so now one thing goes this way and the other thing goes that way, and it can be stressful. So if you're just starting to sketch, I just sketch something straight on. The last sketch class we had, the video of that is in my photo album of sketches on Facebook. If you click on photos and then albums, we did a straight-on door and some ivy and chair and stuff like that. Just doors and windows are fantastic for doing straight-on. So if you have like a favorite photo of a vacation place you went or something at your grandparents' farm or something, and it's complicated, you know, maybe look, like if it's a vacation place, look at it straight on online on some other photo. And it's much simpler to do. Start simple. I started super simple with things and then just practice. I did like 12 to 15 different sketches and then just worked on it a little bit each time and got better and better. And then I bought a little book, which I don't have in this room, but because I did it spontaneously. So, hey, Shy. Yes, you do love doors. You've got some great door photos. And so do straight on. Practice, be easy on yourself. You know, I didn't immediately get really great at it, but I just kept playing with it. And I was intimidated because my friend was super, super good at it, an actual professional. And he told me, don't worry about sketching like me, sketch like you. So I developed my own style. You don't have to do huge scenes. Like one time, one of my students here in France, we sketched in this lovely courtyard. Good morning, you guys. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Jeannie. So they go, oh, do I have to include the sprinkler? No, you choose the composition. It's good to choose something like that has 3 elements of a composition, or sometimes 5, not really 2, not really 4. Our eyes, for some reason, like uneven. So it's good to see you guys. So choose something simple. If it's not the lighting you want it to be, like if it's overcast and you want your sky to be blue, make your sky blue. Don't worry about stuff like that. Leave out anything. I'm a huge evangelist for abandon perfection. Just let go of that. Perfection makes us criticize ourselves. I don't like it. And so I have the greatest parents. So everybody who meets my parents go, your parents are the best. I really wish I had parents like you. And so the great thing, they raised me up in the Lord. They did all kinds of things right. But one of the huge things they did is that they did not criticize us. If we dropped something, they didn't go, well, it figures. Or, you know, I've seen parents criticize their children. They taught us right and wrong, and they gave us unconditional love, but they did not just nitpick at us. And I don't like criticism. And so don't criticize yourself. Don't criticize others either. But perfection is pretty critical. So just let go of it. If you want perfection, get out your camera and take a picture. If you ever want a little workshop on how to take better photos, I can do that. My dad was a photographer. He still is a photographer, but he was a professional. And if you want tips on that, we could do another live stream on that. Let me know. But if you want perfection, take a photo. A sketch is interesting because it's the idea of something. I have a scritchy scratchy style, as most of you know. Today, the thing we're going to sketch is less scritchy scratchy. It's a little stylized because we're just going to talk about these principles in a separate thing, and then we'll play with this. And obviously I gave no warning, so you can just fiddle with it on a piece of paper. And if you have actual sketch supplies, you can do it later on a paper. It's super fast. So abandon perfection. I try to leave space on the edge, because if it goes right up, especially if it's full of color, you don't want it to look like a photo. You know how when you buy have you ever bought here's a sketch I could show you. Like, okay, so here it's winter. Sorry to show you these winter kids. So see how there's space around the edge? And our eye kind of likes that watercolory smudginess at the end. And so it leaves a little for your imagination. It just helps to be better with that white around. If you have trouble remembering that, some people take Scotch tape, a good quality one. Here they call it Scotch. They don't call it tape, they call it Scotch. But if you put tape around the edge of your paper, you can peel it off later. Also, if you want to make like a rectangular one, you can make the color go right up to the tape and then peel it off, and it's kind of like its own mat if something's matted. So that can be fun. But leave space. Sometimes I forget. It's often less than an inch because my little sketchbook is like 4 by 6 inches. So, but I try to leave some white. And it's important to have fun while you're sketching. Like if I've got my pen and I'm sketching along and I'm gripping it really tightly, then it makes my neck tight. I'm not really having fun. It means I'm trying too hard. When I'm editing photos, I do the same thing, because like you guys all think I'm such a good photographer. Well, I show you maybe 1/10 of the photos I take, because I cull out the ones that are okay or pretty good, and I only show the ones that are really good. And sometimes I realize I'm trying too hard to make this photo really good, and I go, and I ditch it and don't show that one. So the same is true with sketching. Sometimes I realize I'm trying too hard. I'm pushing really hard and slow with my pen, and it looks like it. At the end, it's not as interesting. It can look a lot more boring. She's telling me, Michael's and Hobby Lobby and local art stores are not open. Big box stores that might have supplies you're referring to. Is Amazon open in the US, you guys? I mean, it's slower here. Amazon France is open. I can attach links to this later from Amazon to the types of pencils if you guys want that. But I don't know. Let me know if it's not open in America to get an Amazon package, then that might be hard. Hopefully it'll end soon. Our lockdown ends this Monday, the 11th. I'm so excited. I know we'll still have to be careful, groups of 10 and everything. We're easing out of it, but nonetheless, lockdown is ending. So, okay, so we went through my Pigma Micron pen. I use the 03 size. Faber Castell watercolor pencils. You can start with like an olive green, indigo blue, a middle cadmium red, yellow ochre, and burnt sienna brown. That's what I had at first, was 5. Or you can search for like a 12 pack and a waterbrush pen. So on my timeline somewhere is this picture, if you want it to look like. On Friday, we're going to draw more realistic pictures, but this one is just something to play with. So, you know, I have kind of a scritchy, scratchy style. So, okay, Friday, we're going to do something like this Black-Eyed Susan. And scritchy, scratch, scritchy, scratch, scritchy, scratch. And it's very, I like the motion of it, to see the movement, and it gives it a more of an energy. Or we'll work on this purple one. All of them, I like the of it, you know. I make weird sounds. Do you know the French do that? The French do that all the time. When they're explaining something, they go, et voilà, tac, tac, tac. And that's what it means, kind of like, and Bob's your uncle. But anyway, so if we're gonna, this is like a stylized, and the thing I kind of like about it is it reminds me of childhood a little bit. Remember when we would draw those flowers that, you know, you can make those little loops? They don't really look like that, but it's a charming style. I've seen lots of stationery done in it, journal covers. They do a lot of neat things. So anyway, we're just gonna, you can just take your pen and any kind of pen or pencil and any kind of paper, and we're gonna play with this. You don't have to write something on it. I chose somewhere you could write like a verse or oh happy day or nothing. If you want to do nothing, I can show you how to add some shading around the end. The other day I went by this waterfall, and we don't get to sing very loud here. Our neighbors are very quiet, they're very polite, but it was crashing so loudly that I thought, and I was just filled with awe at this waterfall, and I stood there and sang at the top of my lungs, "Then Sings My Soul," and I love that song. So anyway, and I like blues and greens, but if you like fuchsia and orange or red and yellow, do whatever you want. So these are the colors I happen to like. So, okay, let me figure out, let me move my camera here. Do you like my shade umbrellas? Aren't they? There's like tables full of decoupage and bark and fairy house stuff back there. So anyway, random thoughts. Okay, so I'm gonna try to remember how to do this backwards again. So I'm gonna start with my tall one, and I'm just gonna make my line. I'm not too worried about it being perfectly straight. And I'm gonna do, I think I'll alternate and have some like this. And I'm not gonna overthink it because it doesn't need to be perfect. I kind of want to have a nice energy to it. And I'll just kind of randomly do that. And then, can you see that? I'm having trouble. Da, da, da. Can you guys see that? I'm drawing in, no, that's the problem. I'm drawing in a 3. I'm gonna turn this over and draw it in an 8 because I don't think the camera will pick it up. An 8 is wider, and they go up to like a straight number 1 that is an 08. So we're gonna try again. There we go. Send me a message if I'm not getting through. There, that's nice and dark. Okay, so I think that'll show better. Can you guys hear my clock? I have the loudest clock. It's got these ridiculous math equations on it. My husband loved it. He saw it in the store. He's such a genius. And here's me, kind of goofball. I think that's why he married me, because everybody needs a little bit of goofball in their life, especially if they're really geniusy. I wouldn't know I'm not geniusy, but that's okay. I don't want to be. I already have geniuses in my family. Okay, so we've got that one, and then I'm going to add, I'm trying to move this. I do like how whimsical the leaves are. They're kind of like we would draw, you know, in childhood, we would do that. So, okay, and then next to it over here, we're going to do this other one, and we're just going to have it be kind of floopy flower. Floopy, 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 floop, like that. So far we've got that. Brandon got the pencils and nude pens to try out. Bonnie, you did? That's great. I'm excited. You're fishing, Jeannie. That's hilarious. Okay, so now we're going to add this other flower on the right, and it is, I don't know what it is. It's not really any actual flower, but so we're going to go like that, and okay, we're going to come like this, and at the end I'll just make these little thingabobbers, whatchamacallits. And we'll just squiggle them over there, and it really doesn't need to be too perfect. Okay, so like we've got that. You know, it's not really representing any specific thing. It's just the idea of it. And then some little petal, some little leafy. In my bigger art, if any of you have noticed my other sketches, in my other art, I give like the idea of plants, and I just make little squiggly flowers and leaves and stuff like that. But there was interest in actual flowers, so we'll do realistic looking flowers on Friday. So that's what we've got so far. And then I think I'll add my words. I think I'll do Then Sings My Soul again, because that's a favorite song. There's family tradition with that song. It was my grandpa's favorite. And every time we would see him, we would all line up and sing it in harmony. And so I have great memories of that song. Okay, so I've added some words over there. And now we're going to add color. So I chose blues and greens. When I first add the color, I've got some scrap paper here so that I have a little palette to play with, because I'll teach you how to do that today. That can be a helpful thing. And one of the important things I keep by me is a little thing of Kleenex, both to clean out my pen, and also I don't want, okay, let's see if you can see that. See how this has like areas of dark and areas of light in it? I don't want it to be too solid there. That's what I mean. And when I first put the color in here, it kind of looked a little boring and a little too solid. So I took my damp Kleenex and I just dab, 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 and you pick up some of the light again. So that can be really helpful. So, okay, I'm going to put in some little yellow in this center part. It hardly looks like anything. Don't panic when you do it. You don't want to press everywhere. You want to leave plenty of white. I start light because I can always add more later, but it's a little bit hard to take it off. Although today I am going to teach you a little bit about taking it off, because it's helpful to know how. Okay, for these leaves, I'm going to do kind of a spring green here on the edge, and I'm leaving plenty of whites. I'm kind of doing only on the sides, and I'll let it blend in later. And then in this part, I'm going to have some green at the base too. Just scritchy, scritchy, scritchy. Nothing fancy. Okay. And then I'm going to take this is kind of a nice bright blue. Oh, my word. Phthalo blue. Phthalo. Who even, that's probably Greek. I don't know, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to kind of stay along my lines here, but when I do it, it's going to blur it. And I want that in my finished product. I'm not really concerned about it staying exactly on the lines. It's just the idea. So yeah, so I'm gonna just do that and do a little dark here and there, and then we're gonna add some more later. Okay. Then I lay in all my color dry first, and then when I go back, then I do more. Okay, I'm going to use, one of my favorites is this permanent olive green. It is great for just pretty much everything. Okay, and I'm going to lay in some green in that, and then I think I'll lay in some of this same blue. When I have the color palette, I try to repeat so that there's touches of it other places. If there's no real reason to have it, I find I'll just maybe do some sprinkles or something like that. I can teach how to do that on another day too. I think I'm going to leave these leaves, just the silhouette of it, and we'll just start playing with the color. So that I'm going to add a little more blue here. Now the cool thing about this color is it's very forgiving. So I'm going to hold my Kleenex here, and okay, I get my this way backwards. Okay, I'm going to get my brush wet. I dab it out to make sure it's clean. The brush gets stained a little, but when you dab it on a Kleenex, if it's clear water, then you're good to go. So for this yellow, I'm going to do a tiny dot of water on there first, and then I'm going to abandon that flower and come back to it when it's dried and do the pale aqua that I have on there. Next, I'm going to do the green here to make it come in a little. And I'm not doing super strong. I just want the idea of it. And I'll do just that green here too that's down at the bottom. And I'm going to dab my brush off a little in between. And now I've got some green in here. I just go around and find my greens. And add all that. And then I'm going to clean it out. This is a super quick sketch. You can play with this too. You could make your flowers look like hearts, whatever. You could make this to a thank you note. Anything you want to do. So with this, I'm going to start adding this color laid in here. And I like to blend it across so that it's touching the green, and I go, a little bit haphazardly. It's just the motion. It has more of an energy to it. If it's a little more spontaneous, then back to the I'm trying too hard part. It'll just look more fun. I like fun. Okay, so I'm going to get some more blue at this point. I'm going to get my brush really wet, and I'm going to take from my tip. It's like my palette, okay? And I'm going to go around here. I'm going to add some more, and then I'm going to extend here. I'm squeezing some water on there. So to give it, I like that blurred edge of watercolor. I like how it has a little bit of you can see the motion of the stroke to put it on there. Okay, and go in, and I can just add shading where I want it, to make it. I want some dappled light in there, and if I forget and go too solid, then I just go back over with my Kleenex. Here, I'll do that on purpose here for a little bit. Let's do that. So I'm going to get a big blob of blue, okay? And I'm going to overdo and go, oh no, I made a big blob of blue. So you just take your Kleenex and you just go tip, 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 tip. And it lifts it. And it kind of gives it a fleck to it. I know, tip, 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 scritchy, scratch, tack, tack, tack. So sometimes I like to do it because I like the result. You can kind of overdo and then lift it back and keep playing with it. Another thing you can do, like let's say you let's say it gets completely dry. It's never too late. This stuff is so forgiving. It's really nice because you don't have to worry about being perfect because you can almost always fix stuff. So, okay, so yeah, I'm kind of liking that, but I'm gonna squeeze a little more water on there. Okay, and now I've blended it in too much on purpose. Okay, so I'm gonna squeeze out my brush and I'm gonna add like a drop of water. You can go back later, even after your art is completely dried. Okay, now I've added a drop of water so that I can intentionally make some little light flecks here. Tip, 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 tip. And it gives, I like it because it looks a little bit like the sunshine hitting your flower. And it gives it a nice kind of mottled look. Can you see that okay? So that can be a fun thing to play with. So let's say I set this down in the sun and it's completely dry. And I go, oh man, it's all solid. There's not any dark and light texture. You can just take your clean water brush, squeeze out a drop of water on there, and it will start to soak up the paint again. And then you can take a Kleenex. So it's actually super convenient. You can try things and see if you like it or not. And then if you don't, it's never too late because it's so super forgiving. Anyway, so I'm going to put some of it back because I liked what was happening with that. So I'm going to put a little here and there. Okay, so let's clean it out. And we're going to go to this last flower here on the right that's got a lot of greens, a lot of blues. And first I'll just start in and see what happens. Basically, I sometimes just am kind of experimenting while I'm doing it. Well, it's got quite a bit of green in there. That's nice. And then I think I'm gonna get my olive green and some dripping again with my French students go drip drip. They're cute. I'm gonna add some water here and make it extend up so that it's more of the flower. Just kind of squiggle squiggle. It's fun to play with. You can see what you think, and you can just change your mind as you go along. So I really like that because there's lots of leeway in it. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to take a little up and see what happens. And then I'm going to add more and lower so that there's kind of a layer. And go a little higher up here. Tip, 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 tip. Are you making tip, tip sounds in your home? That'd be funny. You can tip, tip across thousands of miles. It is 5:05 in the afternoon here. I don't know what time it is where you are, but we're 6 hours ahead of Eastern. We're 7 hours ahead of Central. Okay, I'm going to add a little shade in there to just give it a little something. And then I think I'll go back and I'll just add a little bit of blue again. I love the blues and greens mixed together. They really have a nice feel to it. Just going to give a little. And then we're pretty much on the home stretch. We'll go over and add our aqua. You know, sometimes I add them and it just blends in because of my water's on there already. So that makes it fun. Okay, now I'm going to clean out my brush, drip, drip, and go over to my, this is a really light blue. It's a light cobalt turquoise. It's a good color for sky. If I'm doing sky or windows or water, I never draw on the paper. I always take it directly from the tip. So I'm going to grab a little from my tip to make, there's some drawing on there already, but I want to make sure it's nice and vivid. And we're just going to make this that kind of really light aqua look. I'm going to leave plenty of water around that little yellow center. Now I'm just going to add a few drops here and there for to let it diffuse itself in the water. And I don't usually hold it up like that when I'm sketching. I usually have it flat, of course, or on a clipboard is nice because you don't hurt your neck as much as when you're looking down. You know, I hurt my neck pretty easily, so yeah, it'll do. You know, it's not my best work, but it's fun. It only takes a few minutes. It's a little bit like my first one. It's with a darker pen, so that makes a big difference too. Do you have questions? If you have questions, send me a quick comment. If not, for Friday, we're gonna plan, if you want to be live Friday, you can come, or you can watch it later. Friday, we'll jump right into the sketching, and we'll do those 3 different flowers, and you can try them with whatever supplies you have. You know, I don't know what people have in their homes. Everybody has different stuff, but even if you don't have the same thing, you can just sketch along and have the principles along there with you. And so I hope you had fun with this. I hope the principles made sense. Oh, one more thing. I'm looking at my list of we did a lot of playing with the scrap paper. We did a lot with adding the color. When I'm drawing, I work hard to hold my pen loosely so that I'm not tight here, and it's nice and loose, and it looks better. The sketch itself looks better. And one last thing, I'm going to show you really quickly how to make a palette, because so if I was doing this, I would color really hard. If I had a piece of scrap paper and wanted to make a palette, I would just go like this, and it gives you, it's just, you know, working on there. But what happens is, here, let me turn it down again so you can see better. What happens is when you drip some water on there, okay, it makes a vivid palette. And let's say, let me find a piece of scrap paper. I'll just use a little bit of this. Okay, so let's say I've got this bright blue and it's really runny. You don't have to get it this runny, but if you want to, you can go tap, tap, tap. Oh, it's not doing it because I'm holding it up in the air. You can go tap, tap, tap and make it give a spritz. Let me see if I can do that. Okay. Yeah, you can see it on here now. If you want to make like little sparkles in the air. Oh, it's runny. Hold on. I'll show you when I'm done. And so I'm going to do the same concept now, but with the green. I'm going to add, if you're only just getting a little, all you have to do is go like that. If you're wanting to make enough to make a spritz, you add a little puddle of water. It won't run off, amazingly. And, okay, can you stay there? Okay, I'm trying. Okay, we'll see what happens. So then I'm just going to go tap, tap, tap. I'm going to spritz it. And it can make it look like little sparkles of sunlight. Sometimes I do this with yellows and blues. It'll make it look like little prisms of light if you want that effect. Or here, I mean, the air is constantly moving with, now I'm making my yellow palette and it comes out really strong. Do that and then go spritz, spritz, spritz. You just go tap, tap, tap. You got to be careful. You're not, in my workshop, they get upset with each other if they spritz each other's art because that's not very nice. Okay, now I'm going to dab this palette so it doesn't run off and try and hold it up. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's a little tiny droplets of blue and yellow and green. You can do whatever colors you like little tiny prisms of light or little sparkles in the air. It's fun. We'll do it in some of the flowers on Friday. And let me look for any of these questions. No art supplies. We're still watching. Okay. I hope this was helpful. And I will put out information about what time this Friday, which is VE Day. It's a big day here in France. They celebrate that they were liberated. They thank us a lot. It's very kind of them. So, all right. Hope you guys have a super day. We'll see you soon. Take care. Au revoir.